You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
But the main leader is Darrell Gill. He's 6'3", he's 175 pounds, and he is a junior wide receiver. And on the surface, with a guy like Darrell Gill, you might be asking yourself and me, what's so impressive about a guy like Darrell Gill, right? Because last year, plays in 12 games, 31 catches, 570 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jackson, why do you like Darrell Gill so much? Why do you continue to rave about this player? Well, there are 2 reasons why I really like Darrell Gill. Number 1, natural development. Darrell Gill is entering his 3rd season in college football. That means, quite frankly, he's no longer a baby in college football. It's time for Darrell Gill to have a big-time season, and he has already taken a big step forward in his development. In his true freshman season, okay, he's a true freshman. He's new to college. He's new to college football in general. It's a tough adjustment going from high school to college, right? Plays in 13 games, but he only has 7 catches for 60 yards and 1 touchdown. But as I told you previously, his numbers in 2024, he took a massive step forward in development. So already he's on the upswing, right? And then you got a greater opportunity for Darrell Gill in 2025. Last season, he was the 5th option for Syracuse football. Not the 5th wide receiver, but the 5th option on the offense when the season really ended. And you look back on it, and you look at all the weapons that Syracuse had, he was the number 5 guy. Okay, you had 2 wide receivers that were clearly ahead of him, Jackson Meeks and Trevor Pena. Oronde Gadsden at tight end was ahead of him as far as targets. And then you also had a guy in LaQuinn Allen out of the backfield who was ahead of him in targets. Well, guess what, folks? LaQuinn Allen's gone. Oronde Gadsden's gone. Jackson Meeks is gone. And Trevor Pena is gone. What does that mean? Darrell Gill is set to be the number 1 option on the offense. Forget just wide receiver. The number 1 option on the offense appears to be Darrell Gill heading into this season. Is he ready for it? Well, when you factor in a bigger opportunity combined with already a natural step forward in development, I think he is. But it's the cliche, time will tell with a guy like Darrell Gill. But my prediction with Darrell Gill this upcoming season is that he will be an All-ACC wide receiver for 2025. And I'm not just meaning honorable mention. No. He's going to be 1st, 2nd, or 3rd team all conference in 2025. What are your thoughts? You think Darrell Gill is going to be an all-conference wide receiver? Is that too high of an expectation, or is it just right? Or maybe you think he's going to be even better than that. Comment in the comment section below. Now, as far as the next wide receiver, I believe that it is going to be Johntay Cook, and we'll get to him in just a second. But keep in mind, he was brought in during the spring portal window, so it might take him some time to integrate him into Syracuse's offense. Just bear with me on that, okay? But for all intents and purposes, he's probably going to be a top wide receiver for Syracuse in 2025. He's 6 foot, 185 pounds. He is a junior wide receiver. He was brought in during the spring portal window from Washington, but his production was at Texas. Put a pin in that, okay? You can make an argument that Johntay Cook is the most talented football player on the team. Not just wide receivers, on the team. He is one of 2 Syracuse football players, by my estimation. I mean, I would literally have to go through all 100 players on the roster, but I'm pretty confident that he's one of 2 Syracuse players to be a former 5-star recruit in high school. The other being offensive lineman Zach Rice, who they also got in the spring transfer portal window. He has got electric talent. This is someone who can take the top off a defense. He's someone who you can throw a 5-yard hitch to, and he could take it 95 yards to the house. That is how talented a guy like Johntay Cook is for Syracuse football. But then you look at his numbers, and his numbers are underwhelming. He's played in 20 career games. They were all at Texas. Just 16 career catches, not 60, 16, right? 273 yards and 2 touchdowns. So things did not work out for Johntay Cook over at Texas. So what does he do after 2 seasons there? He decides to enter the fall transfer portal. And from the reporting out there, I believe it was a mutual decision both from Texas and Johntay Cook to part ways. So what does he do? Does he transfer to Syracuse? Nope. He originally goes to Washington. Unpin what I said about how he's a transfer from Washington, because shortly after he transfers there, he is dismissed from the program. On top of that, not too long ago, before Syracuse actually signed him in the transfer portal, he had been arrested for a couple of misdemeanors. So he's got some off-field issues, and he's also got some on-field issues. But Syracuse decided to take a chance on Johntay Cook. And to be honest with you, why not? Why not take a chance on Johntay Cook? Because think about it from Syracuse's perspective. And this is why I was ultimately on board with this move I pretty much from day one. You can go back to when Syracuse was at least one of the front runners for Johntay Cook, and they brought him in for that first visit before he was crystal balled and everything like that, and ultimately, obviously, went to Syracuse, right? Picked them. You're getting someone who is highly motivated. You're getting someone who I would hope that he is aware that this could be his last chance. If it doesn't work at Syracuse, it didn't work at Washington because he was dismissed from the program. It didn't work at Texas. Where is it going to work for Johntay Cook if it does not work at Syracuse? You're getting someone who is hopefully going to be on their best behavior. You're getting someone who is hopefully highly motivated, on top of the fact that he has a ton of natural talent. That's the best case, right? Worst case scenario, it doesn't work. Johntay Cook doesn't take that step forward in his development, and that's that. But I think it's a decent bet that he's going to be pretty good for Syracuse football this upcoming season. He's now under the guidance of a head coach like Fran Brown. He doesn't just prioritize football, but really off the field as well, trying to develop these guys as men, right? That's really important. And also, he's in an offense, if we're going to talk football related, under Jeff Nixon, which we saw last year, worked quite well for the wide receivers, right? So the sky is the limit for Johntay Cook. And I think he is going to have a really, really strong season for Syracuse. You look at his career numbers, 273 total yards. I think he easily has a chance to triple that this upcoming year. Yes, triple that. And if I'm going to do the quick calculation for you right now, 273 times 3 puts him at 819 yards. I think he could have 800, at least 700. Comment in the comment section below. What are your expectations for Johntay Cook in 2025? I'm all in. I like it. I think it is a worthwhile gamble for Syracuse football. Those are the projected leaders for Syracuse's wide receiver room. You got Darrell Gill, who seems to be the safe bet as the number 1 wide receiver. And then you got a guy like Johntay Cook, who has all the talent in the world and now has the opportunity to maximize his potential with Syracuse.